What up, the dog? How you living, gangster? 10 normal people who truly turned out to be a psychopath. Let go.
Not every serial killer is a psychopath, and vice versa. There's no doubt that many have been diagnosed with that condition. We're all familiar with the most notorious of these criminals, such as Jack the Ripper and Jeffrey Dahmer. But history is filled with other serial killers that many people have never heard of, and their crimes are just as horrific, to say the least. Number 10. While many serial killers exhibit the same types of behaviors, they can't all be lumped into the same categories, since they commit crimes for different reasons, attack different types of victims, and use different modus operandi. But there is one trait that many serial killers share, and that's a need to be recognized for what they've done. Some will taunt the police until they're finally caught, while others leave calling cards in hopes that they'll become famous in the media. Others feel that they need to be caught so they're prevented from committing other crimes. One such psychopathic criminal was a doctor named Thomas Cream, who was born in Glasgow, Scotland in 1950. When he was 4 years old, his family relocated to Canada, and he eventually graduated from McGill University in 1876 after studying to become a medical practitioner. He then started his practice training in London's St. Thomas Hospital, after which he relocated to Edinburgh, where he gained further qualifications that allowed him to perform surgery. He then returned to Canada, where he started his own practice. In 1886, he met a woman named Flora Elizabeth Brooks, the doctor of a hotel owner in the area. But the relationship started to sour when Flora announced that she was pregnant, an admission that nearly cost her life at Cream's hands. Her father demanded that he do the right thing and marry her, and so they tied the knot in 1876. The very next year, she lost her life to what was initially thought to be tuberculosis, though this belief would change years later. One day, a woman named Kate Gardner was found deceased in his practice near a bottle of chloroform, and while many people believed that someone, possibly Cream, had ended her life, he was never charged with any crime. He then moved to Chicago, Illinois, where he set up another practice in the city's red light district. Hence, many of his patients were street workers, and soon 2 more women lost their lives while in his care, one of whom is only known as Mrs. Stack. It's believed that Cream gave her a prescription medication that he knew would end her life, and when she was found deceased, he attempted to blackmail the pharmacist who filled the prescription, but his attempt was unsuccessful. No charges were brought against Cream, as insufficient evidence was found to implicate him, and in 1881,
It's crazy to think the amount of shit people can get away with as long as you don't leave any evidence behind, bro. It's like, this shit is low-key weird and scary, bro. Like, what?
Montgomery was found deceased, and it was determined she'd been poisoned with strychnine. She'd visited Cream's office just before she lost her life, but he wasn't investigated. He then started developing his own brand of epilepsy medication that he referred to as an elixir. Many of his patients stated that it helped them tremendously, but at one point, one of these patients, a man named Daniel Stott, asked his wife to collect his epilepsy medication from Cream, and when she took longer than expected, he became convinced she was
Did you know?
We're able to give our patients their permanent teeth the next day in just 24 hours.
I had 20
having an affair with the doctor. Cream learned of his suspicion, and in order to avoid being confronted on the matter, he poisoned Stott's medication with strychnine, and he too lost his life. It was ruled that his epilepsy was to blame, and nothing further was done. Strangely, he then wrote to the coroner in the case and demanded that Stott's body be exhumed and checked for poisoning. It's been suggested that he was once again trying to frame the pharmacist, or that he was simply attempting to draw more attention to himself. His request was granted, and it was confirmed that Stott had been poisoned. Cream and Stott's wife were both taken into custody, but she managed to avoid jail.
Huh? What?
He was ordered to remain behind bars for the rest of his life. But 10 years later, he was released, and he moved back to London, where he then ended the lives of 2 more women and tried to place the blame on
When is enough is enough. At this point, it's like,
other people as he had done before. He was charged with several murders and extortion and was eventually found guilty. He was executed, and the hangman would later reveal that Cream's last words were, "I am Jack the," though this claim was never confirmed. Number 9. The French serial killer, Joseph Vacher, isn't well known despite having ended the lives of more people than Jack the Ripper. It's believed he never became as famous merely because Jack the Ripper was never caught, while Vacher was eventually forced to face justice for his heinous crimes. He was the second youngest of 16 children, and his childhood was an unhappy one, as he was assaulted and regularly bullied. But on one occasion, he decided to fight back, and after discharging his father's firearm at a group of his bullies, he had his first run-in with the law. After a string of other incidents, he was sent away.
I got a question for the parents though. Like, can't y'all tell when y'all child is gonna be on some wild shit? Like, are y'all able to tell? Cause I'm a parent myself, and bro, like, I watch my kids closely, bro. And like, if one of them on some wild shit, I don't know. Even if they try to hide it, that's your kid. So I don't understand, like, how how can a child trick you into thinking they don't have psychopathic behavior unless you wasn't really paying attention to them? I don't know if what I'm saying making sense at all, but
to the Marist Brothers Catholic Institute, which only lasted 2 months before he was expelled. He then started working in a restaurant while living with his sister and her husband, but he was evicted after admitting to committing several different crimes. He then relocated to Lyon, where he was placed in an asylum after he started believing that everyone was out to get him. Following this, he struggled to get by and decided to join the French military. In 1893, he started becoming obsessed with a woman named Louise Barrand, and he proposed marriage, but Louise turned him down. This enraged him, and he kept harassing her, eventually moving in with her mother to keep a close eye on her. When she confronted him over his obsession, he produced a firearm, aimed it at her face, and fired 3 times, but he was also wounded in the head. Louise somehow survived, and Vacher would suffer from paralysis on one side of his face for the rest of his life. It's believed that this resulted in him being ostracized by society, and the resulting brain damage only made his mental condition even more unstable. As a result of the attack on Louise, he was discharged from the military and sent to a psychiatric hospital. There, his bad behavior continued as he started assaulting staff members, and he managed to escape twice. He was declared insane and sent to the San Robert Hospital.
he's insane, bro. What are you talking about?
Free to commit further crimes. He would later state that he believed God kept him from being caught, and on several occasions, innocent people were sent to prison for murders that he committed. But he was eventually arrested after attacking a woman named Marie Herod. She broke free and alerted her family, who apprehended Vacher, threw rocks at him, and locked him in a shed for 6 hours. He confessed to ending the lives of at least 11 people, but it's believed he was responsible for around 38 murders.
God damn. That's more than a serial killer. At this point, you have to invent a term for this motherfucker. Shit. Hold on.
Number 8. Leonardo Cianciulli was born in Montella, Italy in 1893. And
is that a dude or girl? I can't really tell. Can you tell? Because I don't know. The outfit with the face is like that person could pass for both.
by all accounts, her childhood was an unhappy one. She would eventually marry Raphael Pansardi, a registry office clerk, in 1914, which angered her parents as they had arranged for her to marry someone else. Leonardo would later claim that because of this, her mother cursed her and her husband before they relocated to Alta Irpinia, where they had the misfortune of their house being destroyed by an earthquake. Hence, they were forced to move.
That is a very misfortunate. My house also got destroyed by an earthquake back in 2010.
And they relocated to.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And this is your brain when you're in the zone, but getting in the zone.
To Correggio. Here, she opened a store and before long became well known and liked in the area. Only 4 of her 17 children lived past their infancy.
17 children. How can people do this? My wife has 9 siblings, and I tip my hat off to her mom, bro. Like, with our 3, we struggling right now. So 17, my nigga.
And she was said to be extremely protective of them, since she believed a prophecy from a fortune teller who warned her that all of her children would pass away. While it may not have been apparent at the time, her behavior after that would be seen as worrisome today, since she believed she was responsible.
Mm-hmm. Well, how that feet? I'm almost there.
For keeping her son safe after he decided to join the military. She believed that she could do this from a distance through human sacrifices, and she set her sights on 3 of her neighbors. Faustina Seti. Only 4 of her 17 children lived past their infancy, and she was said to be extremely protective of them, since she believed a prophecy from a fortune teller who warned her that all of her children would pass away. While it may not have been apparent at the time, her behavior after that would be seen as worrisome today, since she believed she was responsible for keeping her son safe after he decided to join the military. She believed that she could do this from a distance through human sacrifices, and she set her sights on 3 of her neighbors, Faustina Seti, Francesca Salvi, and Virginia Cacioppo. Seti was a spinster who asked Leonarda to help her find a husband. She was told to contact a man in Pola and write letters to her friends, which were to be posted once she arrived there. On the day that she was set to leave, Seti went to Leonarda's house to say goodbye, but she was given a glass of wine that was poisoned and she lost her life. As for Francesca, Leonarda told her she'd found a job at an all-girls school. She also instructed her to write postcards to her family and then ended her life in the same way. Lastly, Virginia, who was a soprano, told Leonarda that she was looking for work. Leonarda told her that a position had opened up in Florence with a concert organizer, but she was told to keep the arrangement a secret until she reached Florence. On the day that she went to bid Leonarda farewell, she was also given poisoned wine, and she lost her life. While these 3 crimes are horrific to say the least, what she did next is even more diabolical. She claimed close to...
How can people not catch that, though? Like, 3 people came to your house, you gave all 3 of them wine, and all 3 of them died, but nobody's saying nothing. What?
100 lyre in compensation from her victims' estates, but even more horrifically decided to use their remains to make soap, which she then gifted to her friends and neighbors.
Wait, what?
But when Virginia's sister-in-law, these 3 crimes are horrific to say the least, what she did next is even more diabolical. She claimed close to 100 lyre in compensation from her victims' estates, but even more horrifically decided to use their remains to make soap, which she then gifted to her friends and neighbors. But when Virginia's sister-in-law started to become suspicious after she hadn't been in contact for some time, Leonarda's crimes were finally discovered. She told the police that she last saw Virginia walking into Leonarda's house, and when she was questioned, she immediately confessed. She was arrested, but took great pleasure in describing her crimes to investigators, revealing her psychopathic side.
As an investigator, what do? You're questioning somebody about murder, and they look proud of it. Do you do your job as a policeman, or do you do humanity a service?
Number 7. It's been suggested that the Harp brothers, Mikaja and Wiley, who may actually have been first cousins, were America's first ever serial killers. They're believed to have been born between 1768 and 1770 in Orange County, North Carolina, to Scottish immigrant parents. But since their familial connection is ambiguous, historians aren't certain about this. Historians think that during their childhoods, the two started to feel persecuted by society, since their father or fathers may have served as Tory militants during the Regulator War, which led their family to being treated poorly by members of the community. Eventually, these tensions reached fever pitch, and the family's house was attacked, ending with their parents' lives being ended by an angry mob. The pair fled to a nearby forest, where they hid and eventually were found by a group of Chickamauga Cherokee tribesmen. They were taken in by the tribe and soon started enjoying their lifestyle. They were taught how to trap, hunt, and forage, but they also learned how to steal cattle and end the lives of their enemies. During the Revolutionary War, they joined a band of violent criminals who attacked innocent people, either assaulting and robbing them or ending their lives without a second thought. They eventually met two women, Susan and Betsy Roberts, who may have been sisters, and the group started traveling together. They made a living in Tennessee by stealing livestock and robbing travelers, but were caught while they were in the process of stealing horses. When they managed to break free and escape before being arrested, they vowed to henceforth live lives of pure violence. After ending the lives of one of their friends, they were arrested and taken to Danville for their trial, but they escaped, ended the life of another man, and then relocated to Cave in Rock in Illinois. Here, they joined a group of outlaws, but were asked to leave for being too violent. They decided to move back to Kentucky, and on the way there, they ended the lives of several more people. In 1799, Micajah was wounded in the spine after a group of men chased him down for ending the lives of several people in Henderson, Kentucky. When he finally fell, they ended his life and used his demise as a warning to other criminals. By this time, a $300 reward was being offered to anyone who managed to capture or end either brother's life. Wiley managed to escape, but 4 years later he was captured while traveling with a group of bandits. But the authorities failed to recognize him since he was using the alias of John Sutton. He managed to escape once again, and when he attempted to claim the bounty that had been placed on the gang leader, he was recognized and arrested. Quite unbelievably, he escaped again but was rearrested shortly after.
At this point, bro, just next time you see him, just get the job done, because it's like, bro, this man keeps on escaping, bro. No, next time you see him, just get it done. It is what it is. Fuck it.
He was found guilty of many crimes, which included a huge number of murders, and he was eventually executed in 1804. Following this, Susan and Betsy went on to live a quiet, normal life.
Hey, what happened to the girls? So they met the girls, they did what they did with the girls, and then what? Like, they both got caught, and then the girls just said, all right, cool, we're done. So there's no, what? I need the rest of the story, bro. I need the rest of it. Like, give me more.
Number 6.
Pause. I ain't mean it like that, though. I'm talking about.
Bela Kiss was born on the 28th of July, 1877, in Austria-Hungary. When he was 23 years old, he and his wife Marie moved to Szentkoda, which in modern times is located in Budapest, where he started working as a tinsmith. After moving to his new neighborhood, he quickly became liked in the area, and his neighbors would later describe him as a pleasant man who never caused any trouble. In his spare time, he was an amateur astrologer and would eventually come to light that he had an interest in the occult. Unfortunately, the new move to a new area didn't do his marriage any favors, and Marie soon started having an affair.
Thank you.
With a man named Paul Beccari. In 1912, the pair suddenly disappeared, and Kiss told his neighbors that they decided.
Imagine being able to build anything, for any reason, in any style, at any scale, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
To leave Szentkoda to start a new life elsewhere. He then hired a housekeeper, and according to her, many women would visit Kiss since he was now single. She found it strange that he'd suddenly started collecting large metal drums, And when he was questioned about this by the police, he stated he was storing gasoline since the war was about to break out in Europe, which would undoubtedly lead to a fuel shortage. They took no further notice of this since they were involved with a case in which 2 women had gone missing. Both of these women were widowed, and their families reported them as missing when they were unable to make contact with them for a few weeks. As the investigation progressed, the police learned that both women had been seen in the company of a man named Hoffman in an area close to Budapest's Margaret Bridge. Efforts were made to track him down, but it seemed as though he was no longer in the area.
I will take a wild guess and assume that's old boy working right here.
2 years later, Kiss joined the military when war finally broke out, and he was forced to leave his home along with this later. Kiss joined the military when war finally broke out, and he was forced to leave his home along with the drums that he'd been collecting. A year and a half later, the police were told by the military that Kiss had lost his life in the line of duty, and hence would not be returning home. People in his neighborhood were shocked at hearing
He faked it? He faked his own death? Wait, okay. All right. My bad for pausing so much though, but that's all right. I'm interested now.
on with their daily lives, and before long they'd started to forget about Kiss. That is, until the military started running out of fuel, and in 1916 visited Sinkota in an effort to find more. One constable recalled questioning Kiss about the drums, and he quickly informed soldiers that he'd been collecting drums of gasoline that they were free to take. He showed several soldiers to Kiss's house, where they located the barrels, but they could not have been prepared for what they found. The drums didn't contain gasoline, but each one hid the remains of a woman whose life Kiss had ended. He placed them in drums with alcohol, and when his house was searched, it became clear why so many women were visiting him. He had taken out several ads in a newspaper in which he pretended to be looking for a partner, but many of these women never left his house after meeting him. But the horror didn't end there. The constable stated that he remembered several more barrels that were now missing.
Oi!
And when the area was searched, many more were found strewn around the countryside.
Jesus Christ! You never know people, bruh. You never know people. It's whew. And it's like watching these videos makes it hard for me to interact with people even more, because I'm already antisocial. These videos are giving me more of a reason to be even more antisocial, because a motherfucker might be smiling at you right now, and then tonight they yamming and stabbing somebody. It's like, what? It's just mind-blowing, bro.
Were opened. Each barrel was found to contain one of Kiss's victims, two of whom were the missing widows. It was suspected that Marie and Paul had their lives ended in the same way, and that Kiss managed to avoid capture since he'd lost his life. But this was not the case. Several people later reported seeing him on Margaret Bridge, and it was
I fucking told you, nigga. I told you. I said it. He faked his death. He faked it. I'm off. Man, a serial killer don't die. They don't get killed by people. Bro, people that welcome death never gets it. It's the motherfucker that's scared. Oh, I'm scared to die. Hello, my name's Death. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
discovered he'd switched his ID with the man who'd lost his life during battle. He was spotted again in 1932, this time by a detective who saw him coming out of a subway station in Times Square. He was unable to pursue him though, and he was never apprehended. No one knows how many victims he had or where he eventually ended up, and that mystery will likely never be solved.
Man, yeah. I'm good off this one, bro. I am good off this one. I'm already 17 minutes in, so we're gonna cut it short here. You wanna watch the rest? I'll put the link in the description for you. But until then, peace out and goodbye, good sir.